Websites are not my expertise, but I have a company asking me. They apparently have got hacked with malware on their website.
Let's say they're using WordPress, whatever they're using. They're using WordPress. It is incumbent on somebody to regularly check that WordPress installation for security flaws and update it.
Right.
That's not what your service is doing, probably. That's something else. That's a managed provider. And when you're running a web server, you're out there in the wide world. You got to know about all this stuff. And you got to, and so generally speaking, what I did for a long time, but you get somebody, a managed service provider.
That's my question, because to me it should be kind of all inclusive.
Well, because it isn't normally. You have to pay for it.
Right. You have to pay for it.
It's not cheap.
Make sure it was legitimate.
It's not cheap.
Yeah,
so I'm not talking about removing. I'm not talking about removing the malware. I'm talking about patching your server so you don't get malware. That's another service entirely. So let me explain the layers here that you need to go through so you can understand this conceptually and help these people. Make sure it's up. This is more important because this is proactive. So if you think about it at like your home computer, when you run Windows, you're responsible for making sure Windows Update runs and those patches are applied, right? It'll every second Tuesday of the month, they'll say, I'm applying patches. That's step one. Step two is if you get infected. Now, on PCs, antiviruses often have removal utilities. It's much more complicated on a server. So generally speaking, the antivirus company there's a third part that says removal, because they have to really go through, and it's expensive because they have to go through all your code. They have to make sure everything's patched and that nothing remains of the virus. And unlike your computer, you have a higher responsibility because you're inviting people onto that website. The reason people go after websites is it's a great way to spread stuff. If I can compromise one popular website, that website will infect everybody who visits it. Bingo, cha-ching, payoff. So bad guys very often will scan the internet, not for your home computer. That's onesie-twosie. That's retail. We're going to do this wholesale. We're going to scan for websites and look for flaws. And since people don't really update their websites as carefully as they do their home computer, it's easy. In our case, we had a content management system somebody had designed for us. We had a sysadmin, but the content management system also had some plugins, one of which was out of date and had a flaw in it. And our sysadmin didn't catch it. And so somebody drive-by, bad guy, found that flaw, used it to put malware on our system. Google flagged us and told our visitors, hey, the site has malware, you can't go there. Google caught it. Well, we saw that. We went, whoa. And then we found the malware and removed it. We did this ourselves because we pay for a sysadmin who works for us. But it wasn't the ideal solution. So a lot of companies, you need all three. You need somebody who's monitoring and managing and keeping your system secure. A web hosting company will offer you that, a managed service provider, but at a great expense. You're actually hiring a sysadmin to check your site regularly. You can't rely just on Google. And then if you find something, then you pay for a considerable amount, by the way, because this is a highly skilled process, somebody to go in there and clean it. It's not like your Windows machine where you just can nuke it and say, I'll reinstall Windows. You know, if there's all sorts of additional issues. Generally, it's not running Windows, for instance. It's running a Unix-based operating system. It needs somebody with some expertise. So that's what's going on. And it is now probably the most common way. There's two ways malware gets spread these days. It's because Windows has been patched so carefully. It's not the number one way anymore. Either you get sent a phishing scam, gets you to run something in email, that you run it and you get a ransomware on your system or something like that. Or you get a drive-by where you go to a website that's been infected. And as a webmaster, you have a high responsibility to protect your customers and keep your site clean. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.